After 3 consecutive interest rate cuts, the Federal Reserve has decided to hit the pause button. The Fed on Wednesday announced it would leave interest rates unchanged. Chairman Jerome Powell cited 2 key factors: a solid job market and stubborn inflation. This is the first interest rate decision since President Trump took office. Powell told reporters he's keeping a close eye on what the president's economic agenda will mean for Americans' wallets.
We don't know what will happen with tariffs, with immigration, with fiscal policy, and with regulatory policy. I think we need to let those policies be articulated before we can even begin to make a plausible assessment of what their implications for the economy will be.
CBS News MoneyWatch correspondent Kelly O'Grady joins us now, talking about busy beats here. All right, so inflation had been going down for months. What is happening now and why?
So we are seeing prices tick back up, right? And that was discussed a lot in the meeting today. And we've talked about this before. It's the need to have items. Housing is remaining stubbornly high. Your rent prices, food, energy also ticked back up. And here's some inside baseball for you. Excuse me. We always look at what the Fed said the month before and release what they have today. And they removed one line. Last month, they said, we're making progress towards our 2% inflation target. That was absent today. And so everyone said, oh, gosh, you're finally admitting this, that we're getting further away. Yes, exactly.
That one line.
Right, the one line that, that Royals markets. But what he said is, going forward, we're going to be focused on the data. I think what's really tough is you have a new administration coming in that's looking to make a number of policy changes.
Speaking of, after the Fed's decision, President Trump posted on Truth Social, in part, because Jay Powell and the Fed failed to stop the problem they created with inflation, I will do it by unleashing American energy production, slashing regulation, rebalancing international trade, and reigniting American manufacturing. Interesting that he's putting the blame squarely on them and not former President Biden, which he has before. But how much can the president move the needle on inflation?
So this is where it's interesting. I mean, President Trump has obviously promised to bring down prices on day one. You can't actually just flip a switch and say, OK, everything is cheaper. The Fed and the White House are supposed to be separate traditionally. So the fact that he is making these comments is a little bit of an eyebrow raise. But you mentioned some of the policies. If you produce more energy, you could bring prices down. If you put tariffs on them, you could bring prices up. Lower government spending, less money in circulation, you bring prices down. Corporate taxes, more spending, you bring prices up. So it's really going to be about how all of these dynamics interact and the speed of which they make these policy changes.
Let's talk about these tech companies. Microsoft, Meta, Tesla, they all reported their fourth quarter earnings Wednesday. Interestingly, that all 3 are heavily involved in artificial intelligence. Also interesting that this is happening after this news of Chinese company DeepSeek. What are your takeaways?
Two words: artificial intelligence. I was counting how many times each of these CEOs said this on the call. Microsoft beat on their revenue and profit, but they were down because their artificial intelligence sector missed on expectations. Meta beat on revenue and profit. They were up because they had really good things to say about artificial intelligence. Here was my biggest takeaway, though, Lindsay. Tesla missed on revenue, missed on profit, and yet the stock was up. And so I think the takeaway here is investors aren't seeing Tesla as a car company anymore. They're seeing them as a tech company, an artificial intelligence company. Think the robotaxi.
Do consumers want AI? Investors maybe do, but do consumers?
Well, I think we want the stuff that's going to make our lives less complicated, right? I mean, I'd love for an AI to just do all my emails for me. But yeah, there's also a fear.
But it wouldn't have the Kelly element.
I'd train it. It'd be AI Kelly.
Wow, AI Kelly. All right, I'll have to proofread all those emails right now. All right, Kelly O'Grady, thank you.